There are plenty of murderers who have killed more times than Ed Gein, but few have left a deeper impression on American culture. In 1957, police in Plainfield, Wisconsin entered the isolated farmhouse of a quiet loner who had mostly kept to himself in the years since the death of his mother. Entering a summer kitchen attached to the house, they saw a carcass hanging by its heels from a rafter. It took some moments before they realized that this was a woman's headless corpse. Local hardware store owner Bernice Worden Dean had shot the 58-year-old widow in the shop and driven her body back to his property, where it was undergoing initial preparations to take its place in a macabre collection. Searching through the house, the detectives made ever more bizarre and shocking discoveries. Chairs made with human skin, skulls turned into bowls, stuffed faces mounted on the walls, a torso tailored into a wearable vest. In addition, they found a box containing female genitalia, a belt made of nipples, a bagged heart, a pair of lips attached to a light shade pull. Most of these horrendous objects were the result of grave robbing rather than murder. After his arrest, though, Dean did admit to another killing, that of a tavern keeper, Mary Hogan, whose body, weighing more than 200 pounds, he had calculated would be big enough for a skin suit. Dean was born in La Crosse County, Wisconsin, on August 27, 1906, the second of two boys of George Philip Gein and Augusta Wilhelmine Gein. Dean had an elder brother, Henry George Gein. Augusta hated her husband, an alcoholic who was unable to keep a job. He had worked at various times as a carpenter, tanner, and insurance salesman. George owned a local grocery shop for a few years but sold the business, and the family left the city to live in isolation on a 155-acre farm in the town of Plainfield, Wisconsin, which became the Gein family's permanent residence. Augusta took advantage of the farm's isolation by turning away outsiders who could have influenced her sons. Dean left the farm only to attend school. Outside of school, Dean spent most of his time doing chores on the farm. Augusta was fervently religious and nominally Lutheran. She preached to her boys about the innate immorality of the world, the evil of drinking, and her belief that all women, apart from herself, were naturally promiscuous and instruments of the devil. She reserved time every afternoon to read to them from the Bible. Dean was shy, and classmates and teachers remembered him as having strange mannerisms, such as seemingly random laughter, as if he were laughing at his own personal jokes. To make matters worse, Augusta punished him whenever he tried to make friends. Despite his poor social development, Dean did fairly well in school, particularly in reading. On April 1, 1940, Ed Gein's father George died of heart failure caused by his alcoholism at age 66. Henry and Ed began doing odd jobs around town to help cover living expenses. The brothers were generally considered reliable and honest by residents of the community. While both worked as handymen, Ed also frequently babysat for neighbors. He enjoyed babysitting, seeming to relate more easily to children than adults. On May 16, 1944, Henry and Ed were burning away marsh vegetation on the property. The fire got out of control, drawing the attention of the local fire department. By the end of the day, the fire having been extinguished and the firefighters gone, Ed reported his brother missing. Henry, whose dead body was found lying face down. Apparently, he had been dead for some time, and it appeared that the cause of death was heart failure since he had not been burned or injured otherwise. Dean and his mother were now alone. Augusta had a paralyzing stroke shortly after Henry's death, and Geen devoted himself to taking care of her. She died on December 29, 1945, at the age of 67. Ed was devastated by her death. He had lost his only friend and one true love. And he was absolutely alone in the world. Dean held on to the farm and earned money from odd jobs. He boarded up rooms used by his mother, including the upstairs, downstairs parlor, and living room, leaving them untouched. While the rest of the house became increasingly squalid, these rooms remained pristine. Dean lived thereafter in a small room next to the kitchen. Around this time, he became interested in reading pulp magazines and adventure stories, particularly those involving cannibals or Nazi atrocities. Dean was a handyman and received a farm subsidy from the federal government starting in 1951. He occasionally worked for the local municipal road crew and crop threshing crews in the area. Sometime between 1946 and 1956, he also sold an 80-acre parcel of land that his brother Henry had owned. On the morning of November 16, 1957, Plainfield hardware store owner Bernice Worden disappeared. A Plainfield resident reported that the hardware store's truck had been driven out from the rear of the building at around 9:30 a.m. The hardware store saw few customers the entire day. Some area residents believed this was because of deer hunting season. Bernice Worden's son, Deputy Sheriff Frank Worden, entered the store around 5 p.m. He found the store's cash register open and blood stains on the floor. Frank Worden told investigators that Dean had been in the store the evening before his mother's disappearance and that he would return the next morning for a gallon of antifreeze. A sales slip for a gallon of antifreeze was the last receipt written by Worden on the morning she disappeared. On the evening of the same day, Dean was arrested at a West Plainfield grocery store, and the Washoe County Sheriff's Department searched the Dean farm. A Washoe County Sheriff's deputy discovered Worden's decapitated body in a shed on Dean's property, hung upside down by her legs with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes at her wrists. The torso was dressed out like a deer. She had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and the mutilations were made after her death. When questioned, Dean told investigators that between 1947 and 1952 he made as many as 40 nocturnal visits to 3 local graveyards to exhume recently buried bodies while he was in a daze-like state. On about 30 of those visits, he said he came out of the daze while in the cemetery, left the grave in good order, and returned home empty-handed. On the other occasion, he dug up the graves of recently buried middle-aged women he thought resembled his mother, and took the bodies home, where he tanned their skins to make his paraphernalia. Dean admitted to stealing from 9 graves from local cemeteries and led investigators to their locations. Alan Wilimowski of the State Crime Laboratory participated in opening 3 test graves identified by Dean. The caskets were inside wooden boxes. The top boards ran crossways. The tops of the boxes were about 2 feet below the surface in sandy soil. Dean had robbed the graves soon after the funerals, while the graves were not completed. The test graves were exhumed because authorities were uncertain as to whether the slight Dean was capable of single-handedly digging up a grave during a single evening. They were found as Dean described. 2 of the exhumed graves were found empty. 1 casket was empty. 1 casket Dean had failed to open when he lost his pry bar. And most of the body was gone from the 3rd grave, yet Dean had returned rings and some body parts, thus corroborating Dean's confession. Soon after his mother's death, Dean began to create a woman's suit so that he could become his mother to literally crawl into her skin. Dean was also considered a suspect in several other unsolved cases in Wisconsin, including the 1953 disappearance of Evelyn Hartley, a La Crosse babysitter. Dean was diagnosed with schizophrenia and found mentally incompetent, thus unfit for trial. He was sent to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, a maximum security facility in Waupun, Wisconsin, and later transferred to the Mendota State Hospital in Madison, Wisconsin. In 1968, doctors determined Dean was mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in his defense. The trial began on November 7, 1968, and lasted 1 week. A psychiatrist testified that Dean had told him that he did not know whether the killing of Bernice Worden was intentional or accidental. Dean had told him that while he examined a gun in Worden's store, the gun went off, killing Worden. Dean's house and 195-acre property were appraised at $4,700. His possessions were scheduled to be auctioned on March 30, 1958, amidst rumors that the house and the land it stood on might become a tourist attraction. Early on the morning of March 20, the house was destroyed by fire. Dean died at the Mendota Mental Health Institute due to respiratory failure secondary to lung cancer on July 26, 1984, at the age of 77.